Hello and welcome. British star Charles Dance hates being described as debonair, but really it's the word that best defines this tall, charming and elegant actor. A former member of the Royal Shakespeare Company, Charles had gone on to star in more than 160 movies and TV shows, from his first break in TV's The Jewel and the Crown and Edward VII through to films like Plenty, The Golden Child, Alien 3, White Mischief and Last Action Hero. He's played a diverse range of characters. In recent years, he portrayed Lord Kitchener in the film The King's Man, then returned to TV in The Crown and Game of Thrones. But back in 1986, he raised eyebrows in two consecutive roles. First in the sexy murder drama White Mischief, and then playing controversial movie producer and director DW Griffiths in Good Morning Babylon. Griffiths notoriously had made the 1915 American film The Birth of a Nation, which in recent decades has been denounced as racist. But back in 1986, when I spoke with Charles, he had yet to see the final cut of Good Morning Babylon, co-directed by famous Italian filmmakers, the Taviani brothers. So we chatted about Babylon and then about White Mischief, set in Africa and based on a true story, and also how he overcame a common speech defect as a young man.
What did you know about D.W. Griffith before you did the film? I mean, were you sufficiently a movie buff to know about his role in the movie industry and so on?
Well, and I certainly knew that he was a legendary figure and probably the finest director of Hollywood's heyday. But I'd been given a book 20 years ago called The Movies Mr. Griffith and Me by Lillian Gish, which, aside from being a wonderful evocation of that period in Hollywood, it's a great piece about D.W. Griffith, admittedly from a woman that is probably more than originally in love with him. But nevertheless, what that told me about Griffith was very useful. And I looked at footage of him working as a director and as an actor that the BFI has.
Was there anything particularly striking? I mean, there's something that you saw in him that you didn't understand or know before?
Well, I got most of it from Lillian Gish's book, because he was known as the father of Hollywood. And he commanded respect from everyone he worked with. And he inspired affection from everyone he worked with, and that's a rare gift. There must have been a reason for that. And he was an artist. He made films like composers write symphonies. Although he was working in silent films, he was concerned that his actors spoke well. He'd been trained as an actor on the stage in New York. He was very aware of the power and the quality of his voice. So, stuck with the way I look, I mean, I wasn't about to stick on a false nose or anything. There wasn't any point in that. I did a lot of work on the voice. He was born in Kentucky and spent his childhood and his early adolescence there, and then went to New York. So he's going to have something from the South, and he's going to have something from the East Coast. He was very proud of his Welsh origin, so there would be a British ingredient as well there, his love of theatricality. So I sort of aimed for something between Franklin D. Roosevelt and John F. Kennedy. Both men commanded a great deal of respect and inspired a great deal of affection from people they were with. I haven't seen the film.
Oh, you haven't?
So I have no idea what it's like or what my performance is.
Oh, right. No, it's very good, actually.
Great. I'm glad to hear it.
What difference was there working with two directors making one film as opposed to one director making one film?
Well, I've swapped 17 and a half years as an actor for the 6 weeks I spent with them.
Really?
They were just a joy to work with. Their principal concern is to make a good film. And their attitude to filmmaking, I think, is rather like D.W. Griffith. They seem to share one mind in a sequence of 8 shots, Paolo will do 4 and Vittorio will do 4. Both of their wives... And stay out. Both of their wives work on the film. Their dog Pisa is in every film. They do. Giuseppe Lancia, their cameraman, works with Lina Wertmuller a great deal. He's done all of their films. So you join a huge family. And it was just the most wonderful experience. What I would like every job to be like, but it very rarely is.
We go back a little bit. I mean, you're yet another British actor with that wonderful background in stage and so on. You have worked in television as well, but now, having gone to film also, where are your loyalties? I mean, do you try to go back and do theatre as much as possible, or are you now sort of more concerned in developing a film career?
My principal loyalty is to me.
You selfish bugger.
It's also to good writers and to good directors. I don't think that the stage is really where it's at. That's real acting. It's, I think, possibly more demanding working in film than on the stage. I think you can get away with a substandard performance on the stage. I don't think you can do it on film. The last time I worked in the theatre was 3 years ago. I don't want to not do any more theatre. It's just that the work that I want to do has been in the cinema of late. That's fine, because the process of filmmaking fascinates me. I love it.
How are you perceived now in America, where you've had a reasonable amount of exposure?
I don't know. You better ask America that.
No, you haven't had any feedback at all?
They seem to like me. I haven't had a decent script from them for some considerable time. They put their money where their mouth is.
It's not entirely a two-way love affair then.
No.
Yeah. I mean, are you the kind of professional who would be prepared to go to the States and settle there for some time and really look hard for good screenplays, or are you prepared? Because I presume you still live in London.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
No, I'll go anywhere where the work is, but I'm not about to go and sit by a pool in America and wait for a script to come to me. I've never been like that.
So what you're saying then is that you'd rather be working than waiting on a high cliff somewhere for a...
Yeah.
So the work that you've done, which of the films in particular have you been most satisfied with, or have you got the most satisfaction out of?
The most enjoyable was undoubtedly Good Morning Babylon. I haven't seen it, so I don't know how complete my satisfaction will be. If the experience of watching it is as enjoyable as the one I had making it, then I'll be satisfied.
No, I assumed you were going to say that overall, but going back prior to Good Morning Babylon, when you've done work with Meryl Streep, you've
I enjoy working with Fred Skepsey. It's great. I mean, I just worked
for an Australian.
Yes, indeed. I've just worked with director called Mike Bradford on a film called White Mischief. We finished it yesterday, and he's as demanding as Fred is. I mean, Fred is a hugely demanding director, but that's fine because I'm a very demanding actor. That was an enjoyable experience. It's a good script, bloody good director.
Because Michael did 1984, didn't he?
And a film called Another Time, Another Place.
Another Time, yes.
It's a beautiful film.
What's the story in White Mischief?
Well, it's based on James Fox's book about the murder of the Earl of Errol. A murder that was... the outcome was really never settled properly. The man who was accused of the murder was acquitted, but the evidence points pretty conclusively to him having done it. It takes place in Nairobi. It takes place in Kenya in the late 30s, 1940, when the people in Happy Valley were up to their tricks.
Happy Valley?
Yeah, Happy Valley was the White Highlands in Kenya. Known as Happy Valley because it was populated by expat aristocrats for the most part. Idle, wealthy Englishmen who sat around and drank, used hard drugs and screwed each other. There was a saying that, are you in Happy Valley, that was, are you married or single, or do you live in Africa? And there wasn't anything they didn't do. And the film is a sort of requiem for the 60s, really, because they were up to it then, 1935. And the Earl of Errol, the character I play, was a sort of local stud, really, and had everybody else's wife. I suspect a lot of his success was to do with the fact that he actually didn't drink very much. Everybody else did, so I suspect all these women's husbands were legless and not able to do anything. There was Errol, the dashing 22nd Earl of Errol, and he had one affair too many and made a cuckold of this woman's husband, and it was him who was accused of his murder. So Errol was shot at point-blank range through his left ear. He had a lifelong habit of gently stroking his ear in contemplative moments. This was the ear that was blown off by a 45 pistol.
Yes, that was a touch of fate, so to speak.
Yeah.
And Greta, I presume, plays the wife that you have the affair with.
Yeah.
Delightful lady.
Yes,
Delightful.
our second film.
Yes. Where do you go to from here? In terms, I mean, are you going back to work in a film in Britain? Do you have another project to go to?
I have no idea. Well,
oh, right.
Actually, I want to get my bag, which is now in Paris, and
well, that's a good start.
Go to the hotel that I'm staying in for tonight, and hope that my bag that contains my dinner suit arrives in time for me to get ponced up in that and go to the screening of this film.
Where did you? What was the motivation? Do you recall you wanting to act in the first place? Your family was not involved.
No, it wasn't. Oh God! I got through my adolescence, which manifested itself in a stammer. For some people, it's acne. For me, I stuttered my way through adolescence.
Literally, you stammered?
Yeah. So all the fun that I'd had as a kid, I remember prep school plays and things, and having fun on stage. And then I had very little confidence during adolescence because of this stammer. And I was at art school, trained to be a graphic designer. And there was a college theatre company. And around about 18, 19, I began to be able to speak again. So I got involved with this theatre company and found that I could do that 24 hours a day without getting bored or tired, and it gave me great satisfaction and great stimulation. And I thought, well, maybe this is what I want to do, because I don't really want to design house styles for North Sea gas or illustrate children's books or whatever these graphic designers do. What I want to do is act. So there was no way I could go to drama school then. Financially, I couldn't afford it. So I knew of two old retired actors, whose first pupil, incidentally, was Peter Finch in Australia, who was a sort of idol of mine. I mean, Finch was a wonderful actor. Anyway, he was taught by them. And they taught me what I would have learned had I gone to drama school. So 17 or so years ago I started.
What the stammer, was that caused by any trauma or just...
I have no idea.
Just suddenly you found yourself stammering? And it went just as...
Yeah, it went over a period of about 3 weeks. I mean, I wasn't one of those stammerers who has masses of confidence and can just be a stammerer. I mean, I used to make up the most complicated sentences to get round words that I knew I stammered on, so I didn't want anybody to know. And it was dreadful. But,
what sort of words would you stammer on?
Oh, I can't remember now whether it was a D sound or a G sound, whatever. But it's just the way my adolescence manifested itself. Some people it's acne, you know.
Yes, and it must be socially crippling. I mean, if you want to go to chat up a girl, for example.
Oh, awful. Yes. The time the stammer went, I had
she'd gone
a lot of time to make up, you know. Everybody else had been at it like rats up drain pipes until then.
That's amazing. I mean, I'd never read or heard that story about you at all.
Really?
But I mean, there are some interesting things that I mean, a lot of actors are left-handed. A lot of actors are dyslexic, for example.
Yeah. My son is dyslexic.
Do you know about these glasses that they've now come up with in the United States?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Has he tried them at all?
No, he's actually doing very well at the moment. He's like most dyslexics, he's very bright. You know?
Yeah.
He's got an IQ of 130, which only serves to compound the problem.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But he went to a school that specialises in teaching children like that. and he went there for about 18 months and made enormous strides. And he's now at a regular school and doing very well. And reading, for the most part, is work to him.
Yeah.
He doesn't yet find it an enjoyable experience. Reading is to acquire information. It's not to appreciate language, because he can read, but it's a chore.
And he hasn't tried the glasses?
No. I mean, I read something about them a couple of months ago, and I was looking into them.
But Charlie Borman, John Borman, started is a dyslexic.
Really?
Yeah. And he was out in Australia, Fremont Forest, whenever it was released up there. And I'd got to know him in London a little bit, and I said, look, there's been a story done on these glasses. He'd never heard of it at all.
Yeah.
And so I put him in touch with a television producer who had done the story from America. I mean, an Australian guy had gone to America and done the story.
Right.
And I believe, I haven't spoken to him since, but I believe he tracked the person down and found out all about the glasses and has, started to use them at some point.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that third hand, so I don't know whether it's a fact. But I know that they work. The basis of it is that they're different coloured, tinted lenses.
Yeah.
It might be worth looking into.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I will. With all dyslexics, there's one common manifestation of one common symptom, which is that they're all cross-lateral. I mean, dyslexia is an umbrella title, and it covers a multitude of sins, but the one common denominator is that they're all cross-lateral, which means, if you're right-handed, you invariably have a dominant right eye and a dominant right foot. Dyslexics are like that. It's right eye, left hand, right foot, the other way around. So maybe this glass thing puts it right.
Straightens out, yeah. Oh, anyway, maybe it'll help. Charles, thank you very much for your time. All the very best with your career.
Thank you.
Charles has gone on to have a prolific career across stage, TV and cinema, including, as I mentioned, more than 160 television and film appearances, with 3 more to come in 2023-24. One of his first roles was a small one in James Bond's film For Your Eyes Only. He actually turned down the role of James Bond, but later in his career portrayed Bond's creator, Ian Fleming, in the film GoldenEye.